got Joshua Fers, Nick Portella here from Combat Insiders. We just got back from MMA Pro League Saturday night in Atlantic City, and what a crazy night it was. Nick, I tell you, man, it was everything I thought it would be, plus more. I knew it was going to be a wild ride. I knew the whole team-based concept was really going to add something, extra to. I mean, MMA is already crazy, by itself, but I knew the whole team-based concept was going to add just something that twist, and especially with the point system as well. So, I don't know, man. What's kind of a rundown? What were your thoughts on it?
Oh man, I thought it was great, and I feel like as the fights were going on, the ones that counted, I'm like adding points, and I'm trying to I couldn't imagine being a coach. I was trying to strategy it out myself, and it was just insane. I mean, the whole event was great. I mean, everything was put together so well, and even from weigh-ins,
Yeah.
like from our point of view, everything was perfect. They had us in the right place to shoot the weigh-ins. They made sure we got all the fighters for the interviews. It was very well thought out for a first show, I thought. I mean, you would have thought that they were on their 30th show.
I agree.
By the way it went, it was very smooth.
I agree. And a small plug for our YouTube, by the way. That was if you missed the weigh-ins, go to check out our YouTube. You'll see that. So it was a good time overall. And like you said, man, the point system, it added a lot of a different stress to it. And like I said, I think it was felt by the coaches, and I think it was also felt by the fans because especially in the ongoing, the first few matches, man, it's just like. Who was going to win? Were they going to win by knockout? Were they going to win by decision? How far up are they going to get? And it was like as the matches got further and further down the card, you have to imagine that these guys really felt that, pressure, not just on the fighters, but like you said, on the coaches and on the teams as a whole. I think it really adds an element that's missing in just your standard MMA.
Yeah, and you know what else was cool? You saw some familiar faces out in the crowd that night. Some known faces. Who did we see that night? Bare knuckle boxer Britton Hart and an absolute legend, Henzo Gracie, in the building.
Absolute legend.
Yeah, running around talking to people. Very cool guy.
Yeah,
Britton's awesome. It was just everything worked out well. There was no. I was expecting almost a little more, I don't want to say rioting, but you saw how heavy the crowd was rooting for their team.
Yeah.
And another small plug for Mr. Johnny at Jab Apparel. How many people came up to him asking if he had jerseys? It was it was insane.
We were asking for jerseys and we couldn't get them. So I mean,
yeah,
I wanted one of those hoodies, man. Like I wasn't kidding. I wanted one of the hoodies that he had, and I love the. What he was wearing on fight night, it's like the maroon and gold color. I really like that.
And the fighters love the uniforms. Just everything. I don't think anything could have happened any better. And that's all before fight night. Like everything was good, and then even the undercard.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything. We could go through those fights. I know I'm driving. I'm running errands, but we didn't want to leave this video out. So. I guess we should touch on some of the fights. There were some close ones, some ones I didn't agree with, some ones I did agree with. It was all over the place. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree, man. Let's talk on. I guess if you want to talk about the undercard a little bit, I really like to talk on Mark Coker's fight. And I don't want to pronounce the guy's fought name, and it's no disrespect to him. I just don't want to butcher his name, but we were talking about it kind of in media row, and we were talking about how we thought it went. And I think both of us kind of agreed it was, Mark had it 2-1. We thought really that he should have won the decision, but they gave it to the other guy. Now, of course, there's always the old saying, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. I get that. But, I think it was pretty unanimous from where we were sitting that he definitely won 2 rounds out of that. And
I scored it, and I even went back and watched it after we got back from the trip. And I had him winning clearly rounds 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Two was a close round, but I'm not going to lie, and again, no disrespect to Mark, but I think his opponent got the better of him in round 2. But I thought rounds 1 and 3 were pretty cut and dry.
I think so.
For me, I had it scored 29-28 for Mark. The plus side to him and to his credit is that he's just an awesome person. We got to hang with him afterwards, and
Yeah.
while nobody wants a loss on their record, I don't think it will phase his progress moving forward at all.
I don't think so, man. And if anything, I thought MMA Pro League, there was a lot of eyeballs on the show. So if anything, I mean, he got his name out there in a different area. So he's used to fighting kind of down there by the Gulf Coast. So he got his name in a whole entirely different area of the country. So I mean, it's really nothing but a positive for that kid, and I think he's got a bright future. And I'm sure he's going to recover just fine, and I'm sure he's going to move on to his next fight just fine. And
oh yeah, no doubt,
and get a W. So another fight on the card, I know we both kind of wanted to talk about too, is Justin Osborne and Andy Jimenez. I think we both wanted to talk about that. Now, of course, Justin Osborne won the fight, but still, even though it's no knock on anybody, which just from our observation, he won the fight. He won 2 rounds out of the 3, according to the judges. We thought it was unanimous decision. We thought he won all 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Again,
I did believe he won all 3. He really, I mean, his opponent was coming.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but he was landing S kicks. Like he was just doing whatever, and it was working. I found that fight kind of cool because of our post off the scale interviews. That was the opponent that said I'm going to take his soul. He's only going to last half a round, and he was a nice guy. And again, you have to plug the show. You got to get people interested, and that drama adds a nice layer to it. The funny part is, Justin never saw it until after the fight was over.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, like he warmed up. He didn't get involved with the social media. I think the last thing he did on social media was us, the off the scale.
I think so.
Interview. But yeah, I talked to him after the fight, and he had nothing but respect for his opponent. And he's another one, unfazed by it. I know he was like, oh, it's a split decision, but a win is a win. I did think it was unanimous, like you, 30-27. But it didn't go that way. I mean, everybody sees everything differently. Those 2 fights, I'm pretty sure everybody that was in our area kind of saw it the same way.
I think so.
That we did, but we weren't sitting cage side, so there might have been something that we didn't see.
Yeah.
I never want to knock the judges,
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that's just our observation. Somebody else could have an entirely other observation. It doesn't mean we're right, they're wrong, whatever. That's just our observation from where we were sitting. That's our interpretation of what we saw. But let's move on to the next fight that we kind of want to talk about was Gabriel Ruiz versus Cody Heyer. This was the only finish on the card.
It was.
And I don't want to knock that, like I said, anybody else, but this is the only finish on the card. Cody got a TKO stoppage, ground and pound in the second round, and it was a wrestler versus wrestler kind of fight, but it was clear that Cody's wrestling was just that much more crisper than Gabriel's wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first round started off more like a striking battle, which remember we were like, wow, why is this happening?
Yeah.
But they decided to stand and throw, and I'm again, no disrespect. I think Cody probably got the better of his opponent in the striking, and you could see that there's levels to everything. Yeah. And his wrestling game is very much so on point. I think he's the wrestling instructor though at Renzo Gracie. So, I mean that says a lot, in itself. But all the credit in the world to his opponent. Very tough dude.
Yes.
Was able to stuff some takedowns, was able to escape, was able to get back to his feet. I
Yes.
mean, he was able to do stuff, but I think, it was just Cody's night, and he scored the five, for the team part, he got the only 5-point victory of the evening for the whole card. So, I mean, props to Cody.
Yeah, like I said, props to Cody, and like I said, props to everyone in the card, man. If we talk about somebody winning, it doesn't mean that we're trying to diss the guy losing or anything like that. It's we have a lot of respect for anybody that steps in there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I
And
respect every guy that fought that night.
yeah, I mean, it was a great card, really, just all around. And moving on to the next fight, we kind of wanted to get to was Mike Pagano and Zedekiah Montanez. He's gonna hate me 'cause I always butcher his last name, but it's Montanez. I've
It
butchered it a
is.
couple times, but
I
anyway,
butchered the first name, so I just go with Zed. He's okay with that.
yeah, yeah, no, that's cool. But yeah, so this was a nice back and forth stand up fight, and I'd even argue, and I know we talked about before. I think it has a good argument for fight of the night. I think along with the heavyweight fight and maybe even the Cody Gabriel fight. I think those three fights were really the at least to me those are the standout fights of the night. Those three fights, but you know, Zed's stand up was crisp. It was smooth. He was confident.
Oh yeah.
You can tell because we had talked to him prior, and he said that he just straight up he quit his job. He's doing this full time, and I think we both talked like it shows. It really shows that he's in there, 24 hours. I mean, I don't know, but he's in there a lot, and it really showed. And Mike Pagano, man, my God, that dude is tough as hell. He took that illegal knee to the face, and that guy was just hell yeah. I want to keep continuing. I'm going to keep going, and that really told me a lot about that guy. And it's just my hats off to him. My hats off to both of them. I thought it was
Well,
awesome.
what kind of threw me off about that fight, not threw me off, but Mike was very calm and collective even at the weigh-in.
Yes.
And Zed, we like you, buddy, but he looked to me like he was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how he gets in the zone. He was just like,
Yeah.
kind of there. They both showed up to fight,
Yes.
and I had Zed winning the first two rounds. But as you know, they stopped it for the illegal knee, and all the credit in the world, like you said, to Mike, because they asked if he could continue. He
Yeah.
could have said no, and it would have been a no contest.
And you know what? Had he not continued, I don't think anybody would have really thought any less of him for it because I mean he fucking ate a knee, from the plumb position just straight, right into his fucking face. Like I don't think anybody would have thought any less of him. So
You know what though? The kind of guy he is,
Yeah.
you could tell he
Yeah.
would have thought less of him.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And what was nice about it is not nice about it, but the knee happened. Zed immediately backed up and realized that his hand was on the ground, so he was a ground opponent. And at the end of the day, man, it was all respect. They walked off. These things happen, in the fight game. But those guys left it all in there, no question about it. They were there to put on a show, which they did.
Now
And
what?
go ahead.
So what's interesting about that fight is, a lot of us in media row and just kind of just hearing a lot of people talk about it. Now I'm no judge. I am no expert in all the rules, especially varying a little bit state to state. So I'm not going to pretend like I'm the expert here by any means. But a lot of us were kind of split whether it's or not that illegal knee should have been an immediate disqualification versus just a point deduction. Like I said, I don't claim to be an expert, but it seemed to me, maybe that should have been, an immediate disqualification. I don't know.
I think it is because that's under the same umbrella of if you throw a 12-6 elbow.
Sure.
I mean, John Jones has one loss on his record. How did he get it? He threw a 12-6 elbow against Matt Hamill.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
got, they stopped the fight and disqualified him.
Yep.
I'm really not 100% sure, but I would say I'm 99% sure. But the judges decided to do the point deduction.
And at the end of the day, like I don't know, man. Like I said, either way, it was a great fight, and like I said, they both brought it. So like I say, it is what it is. The knee happened. I don't think Zed meant to do it. I mean, you immediately saw it, like you said, his facial reaction. He was just kind of like, "Oh shit," So it wasn't intentional, and you can get that from him. And
Yeah, I mean, if
it's
you go back and watch it, he had stung Mike and he went down,
yeah,
and it was more like a scramble. And there was a brief second where Mike was up enough to not be a grounded opponent,
yeah,
but then he went down. Unfortunately, when the knee landed, he was a grounded opponent. There,
yeah,
it's hard to argue that.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Those guys were great. The whole fight was great. When the knee happened, they handled it like gentlemen, true sportsmen. And again, I give props to Mike for saying he could have took a no contest, but in the interest of what he loves to do, he decided to just get in there and bang it out for the rest of the fight.
100%, 100%. Yeah, no, I,
Yeah.
I like both those guys. So that
Oh
was
yeah.
that was a tough one to watch. But it is what it is. This is the sport. It is what it is. But moving on. So the main event of the night, the heavyweight fight, Kevin Sears versus Ahmed Samir. This was just
Oh man.
it started off like just a slugfest. They were both throwing bombs. I mean, there was a lot of, I don't know, man. It just felt like at any second, one of them was going to knock the other out. That's really what it felt like in the opening moments of that fight.
It did, and historically, because I've watched, I've actually been to other events where Kevin has fought. Um, Kevin's historically a slow starter, and Samir throws hard,
Yeah,
hard, very hard. Professional boxing background. The guy knows how to throw, and in the opening minute, I mean, it was on edge, man. Kevin ate some big shots. He recovered.
yeah.
Then they turned it into a grappling match. I don't know. I might give that one, if I had to pick one, gun to my head, I would probably say that was fight of the night. Because, like you said, every time they threw, you were like, oh, man, somebody's going to sleep.
Yeah,
You didn't know. You didn't know because
yeah,
they're both heavy hitters.
yeah, and that,
But,
that's definitely what it felt like.
mm, Kevin walked away with the decision victory. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. The point barrier was too far apart
Yeah,
for it to make a difference in the scoring. But I don't know, man. The whole thing, the whole show. I have no negatives. I like to try to find one negative, and I can't find it.
off the top of my head, what did that final score? Was it 14-6?
It
That sound right?
Yep, you're right. Yep,
Okay,
14-6
so
because Cody scored the one,
yeah,
the 5 point round, and the other 9 points were three decisions.
yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, and it was like I said, we knew even prior going into the main event, we knew that there wasn't a chance for New Jersey to win. But you know what? It was almost kind of like, what can I compare it to? The only thing I can really compare it to is, say, the end of the season, and then you have a football team, and you know that football team isn't making it into the playoffs, but it's like the last game, and it's almost like you still want them to go and just kind of go out on a kick-ass note kind of feeling.
Oh yeah,
That that's
absolutely.
that's about the only thing I can really compare it to is, like, even though, like, the fact that they were down points and you knew Jersey wasn't going to win, it didn't matter because you wanted it for for Kevin and his team to win that fight, just to go out on a, like I said, just on like a bang kick ass note. That's really that was kind of the atmosphere during that whole last fight.
I'll tell you what, man. As they add teams, I could say this: New Jersey and Pennsylvania got dangerous heavyweights.
Yeah.
Dangerous. I wouldn't want to get punched by either one of them.
I wonder if eventually, and I'm sure we will down the line, you think we'll even see rivalries even between the states now, even though obviously, like, they'll play other people. I mean, well, they'll fight other teams, but I wonder if eventually, say, from here on out, what if we have the Pennsylvania guys and the Jersey guys? What if maybe they really don't like each other? I don't know. What if, say, like, down the road they fight each other again? Maybe there's going to be a little more, animosity between them two.
I think the way that card went and how it all went, I think you've already found your first rivalry. One, because they're neighboring states.
Yeah.
And two, just how some of the fights went and how close they were and some of the back and forth. And there were some intense stare downs. There were some real intense stare downs. And there was that near fight before the fight, at the weigh-ins. I just think that's your first rivalry. We found it already. One show, one rivalry.
Yeah, with Turple and Joseph. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think New York will probably if I'm sure New York will have a team. I would not doubt that they will be involved in the whole rivalry game because now you got the whole tri-state area,
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what's next for them. We haven't heard anything official on the books for the next
Right.
MMA Pro League fight, but I'm really anxious to see what's next. I'm sure they have something already lined up. It's just a matter of probably announcing it and finalizing everything and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I've heard rumors, but nothing in stone, so it's not worth talking about
Yeah,
and then being wrong afterwards.
yeah, absolutely. But no, it was a great time, man. And like I said, we've got a bunch of interviews up there. And I tell you what, I'd have to say that my favorite interview of the whole weekend had to be
Hani.
Hani. And I tell you, and I'm not just saying that just because he's he's
No.
running the show. It's not it because I'd pick somebody else. He was genuinely my favorite interview of the night. So everything from talking about what do you say, like a fucking bear to the boom.
Boom. Yeah. It was just
Go if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to the interviews. Check out our YouTube channel. It'll be under like interviews right after the post fight. And I, excuse me.
it was post weigh-in interviews.
Yeah, the post weigh-in interviews, and I believe he is the very first one. And just watch. I mean, watch all of them, but check out his interview. It is. I tell you what, it is. It's really funny. He's a really funny guy, well spoken, and no, like Hani and all them, man, and Mark, and they put on a great show, man. Like you said, it was very well organized. It was. It didn't feel like a first show. It really didn't. It felt very professional. It felt very just top notch quality on everything they did, the way they had everything laid out and everything like that. And I think we had a good time. And I think it's safe to say we'll definitely be back covering their show 100%. I think that's a safe bet to make. But,
No doubt. No doubt. I'm excited as they add teams.
yeah.
And then they're going to have a draft. I'm excited to see how it kind of plays out. Because then it'll really have that sports feel.
Yeah.
Like sports team feel. And unfortunately, I have written about jerseys in the past as a comparison only. And I feel like it's going to just have to happen. I know we had talked to the sponsor from Jab Apparel, and he might have thought he said something about it even before I did, unbeknownst to me. And what does that say for a show when someone flies from the United Kingdom to be there for a show?
I'm telling you, man. Like I said, especially the first show, like for him to come out like that, you can tell the vibe. The vibe that MMA Pro League is giving off, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the vibe that they give off is that this isn't something small. What they're building towards is something big, and I think that people who aren't kind of jumping on board with that now, I feel like they're gonna get left behind, because I think the concept is going to be huge, and I feel like it's going to be. You're going to see shows in multiple states, multiple teams, and it's gonna be a big deal. And I think people need to get on board with it now, or else I feel like they're going to be left behind.
I'm telling you, I'm a Fight Pass subscriber.
Yeah.
But even though we cover the show, it's fights and shows like that will make me subscribe to Flow Combat.
Yeah, agreed.
And don't leave that out for people that live too far to come or whatever it is. The fights broadcast on Flow Combat. So everything's there. They had the fights individually up. I mean, within 12 hours, everything was up and it was there. And what's nice is even though we had put it out, they had all the inside the MMA Pro League episodes, all the
Yeah.
the fighter profile stuff, and I even
Yeah.
caught wind that there will be a behind the scenes video about how it all went down, and I don't I just everything was great. The guys were great to work with from when we started 2 months ago
Yeah.
up until fight night. Everything was just really well planned out. When you can get the front office, the fighters, and the sponsor flawlessly up for interviews
Yeah.
after people are getting off the scale, you really can't ask for more than that.
No, not at all.
There's really not much left.
No,
I know we'll be a staple in the show for coverage.
yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah,
I'd
like
be
I said,
willing to travel for it.
I think they they welcomed us. We felt there was a lot of hospitality on their end, and like I said, they made sure
Oh yeah.
everything was lined up and ready to go for us. So it was, like you said, there honestly there really wasn't a whole lot more that we could ask for from that perspective. But guys, I think that about wraps it up for us. Like I said, MMAProLeague.com, check them out. FlowCombat.com, check them out. JabApparel.com, don't forget to check them out. And don't forget, hey, follow us. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Combat Insiders, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, just about everything. Just type in Combat Insiders, you'll find us. So
And the website will be launching
yeah,
soon.
yep, website will be launching soon. So keep a lookout for that. We'll have a separate announcement for that. I'm gonna say within the week. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and not be able to deliver, but I'm gonna say within the week we should have everything up and running, and it'll basically be like a hub for everything we're doing, and that way everything can kind of point back to that, and all of our videos and everything, all of our articles, stuff like that. Everything will be in one centralized location. So we got a whole bunch of stuff coming. A lot more to come, a lot more to be announced. So stay tuned and don't touch that dial. For Nick Portella, Joshua Fers, we're out.
Peace.